know I really do like. I do like Elizabeth Warren's policies. I think she's a good she at her heart has the right political instincts. Not when she listened to Hillary Clinton's strategies. Elizabeth Beth Warren of Massachusetts has the right political instincts. I don't think she's as far left as what we really need in this country, but I think I would take her over a lot of people in the Democratic Party. Who are at least in the conversation to run right now at the moment. So pretty much, she says ignore them, but why? Only a few months ago, these same pundits and reporters were singing from a different hymn sheet. In May, a poll found Warren was leading a field of potential Democratic presidential candidates in New Hampshire with 26%. In July, a New York magazine put her on the cover with a headline frontrunner. As recently as October, CNN's Chris Cillizza and Harry Enton explained with Elizabeth Warren why Elizabeth Warren's is number one in our new 2020 rankings. And personally, I don't support her running. I don't knock her running, and I don't think she should run. And I really don't. I don't think she should. Sorry, what I meant to say is I don't think she should not run. I think everyone should. I think Beto should run in the primary. I think Bernie should run in the primary. I think it should be a battled out contest because the left wing are hypocrites if we don't support an open primary after we all bang and bang and bang bang and bang for it in the 2016 campaign with Bernie Sanders. May the best progressive win. And I will get behind who I think is the best progressive, and I think there's going to be some difference on that, but it would be nice if too many progressives, there needs to be kind of strategizing among wings of the Democratic Party about who's going to run. But it's really tough because there's no clear left-wing frontrunner to support. You got Bernie Sanders, he's too old. Elizabeth Warren, my main problem with her is she's a little bit too far to the right. That's not that big of a problem, but she is very viable with that DNA test. This really makes me squirm. All right, let's see what he says about that. Warren, however, remains a formidable and ambitious politician, a proud progressive, long track record of taking on the rich and powerful and winning. Remember the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, her role in blocking Larry Summers as the Federal Reserve chairpersonship, her recent bills to tackle corruption in Washington put workers on the boards of big corporations. Yeah, she is divisive, and for good reason. Let's sound that air horn for Elizabeth Warren's progressive career. Yeah, baby. She has taken a real hit in recent weeks, both with the racist right and the social justice left. Clinton once said, I think Hillary Clinton once said, that Warren gets under Donald Trump's thin skin like nobody else. That's very true. Which makes a senator's decision to dance around the president's racist tune by taking her DNA test to prove her Native American ancestry and releasing a video to publicize the results. Very bizarre, and that is very, very questionable, and it's quite cringy, the fact that she did that. But did she screw up? Yes. Should she issue a public apology and draw a line under it once and for all? Most definitely. Is it fatal to her 2020 chances? Don't be silly, he says. And I really do think if she handles it the right way, and the question is, has she waited too long? Has she not talked about it? But I think the sooner she quashes this, if she really wants to run, she should be quashing this right now, because the sooner she quashes it, the better for all, and the better that becomes old news, it gets behind her, and we can go back to talking about the issues the American people care about, because that is something that she can do, in my opinion, very, 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 very well. As a whole host of right-wing Republicans and bank bosses have discovered over the years, dismissing Elizabeth Warren is a fool's game. You can't think the former professor and progressive icon has done that she can't win in 2020. Ask your former GOP opponent, Scott Brown, who Warren replaced as the Senate in 2012, and for a time seemed unbeatable, if he agrees. The then Harvard academic who had never held elected office ended up being Brown by 8 percentage points after mounting an insurgent left populist campaign against him. Remember her passionate, off-the-cuff speech on redistribution of the supporters' home in Andover, Massachusetts, which went viral in September 2011? So this is something that I'm going to play for you, and this is something that we want to see. This should be the Elizabeth Warren entire campaign here. Take a listen to this.
My favorite part of looking at this poll, we got in this poll $1 trillion on tax cuts for the rich under George Bush. We got into this whole $2 trillion on 2 wars that we put on a credit card for our children and grandchildren to pay off. And we got into this whole $1 trillion on a Medicare drug program that A, was not paid for, and B, is 40% more expensive than it needs to be because it was a giveaway to the drug companies. So we just had, I mean, that's just $4 trillion right there. So part of the way you fix this problem is, like, don't do those things. No, I'm serious about it. I hear all this, well, this is class warfare, this is whatever. No. There is nobody in this country who got rich on his own. Nobody. You built a factory out there, good for you, but I want to be clear, you moved your goods to market on the roads the rest of us paid for. Yep. You hired workers, the rest of us paid to educate. You were safe in your factory because of police forces and fire forces that the rest of us paid for. You didn't have to worry that marauding bands would come and seize everything at your factory and hire someone to protect against this because of the work the rest of us did. Now look, you built a factory and it turned into something terrific or a great idea. God bless. Keep a big hunk of it. But part of the underlying social contract is you take a hunk of that and pay forward for the next kid who comes.
Yes, that is what Elizabeth Warren's campaign should be. The entirety of it. The entirety of it. I mean, she's probably going to have to get her to some resistance people if she can really be effective and absolutely killer in the Democratic primaries. Because obviously she is very famous for this moment. On the floor, the nevertheless she persisted moment when she wanted to attack Jeff Sessions for being the nominee, and reading a letter from Coretta Scott King, she was interrupted by the Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. President.
They are.
Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
The senators impugn the motives and conduct of our colleague from Alabama as warned by the chair. Senator Warren, quote, said Senator Sessions has used the awesome power of his office to chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens. I call the senator to order under the provisions of Rule 19.
Mr. President.
The Senator from Massachusetts.
Mr. President, I am surprised that the words of Coretta Scott King are not suitable for debate in the United States Senate. I ask leave of the Senate to continue my remarks.
Is there objection?
Object.
I appeal the ruling.
Objection is heard. The senator will take her seat.
Mr. President. I appeal the ruling of the chair, and I suggest the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Yeah, and of course that led to she was warned. She was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted. That was, again, a big PR disaster for the Republicans, granted for about 2 weeks. But it could really help with the resistance people who, she has that credibility of attacking Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. And then hashtag Let Liz Speak It trended on Twitter, became a feminist rallying cry, and 2.7 million people have seen it on YouTube. And you also have CNBC Squawk Box hosts. If they tried to take the senior senator if they agree the senior senator from Massachusetts is done, 3 of them tried to take down Warren in the live TV interview in July 2013. Host Brian Sullivan argued that new regulations couldn't prevent banks from taking risky bets and going bust. No, that's just wrong. Warren responded, schooling him on the post-New Deal history, as she pointed out that none of the big banks failed in her 50 years after Glass-Steagall was passed. I'm going to play that clip for you in a second, but first, I just want to outline on this. I would support her if she ran this kind of a campaign, this aggressively rich and powerful, challenging financial campaign. I think she would be a very viable candidate for president. Very, very viable candidate for president. She's a good speaker. She knows to get under the wing of Trump. But enough with what she cannot do under any circumstances is hire Hillary Clinton strategists. I really don't like that. Don't hire consulting firms. Don't hire Hillary Clinton type strategists. Don't hire people who are going to be leading you wrong. Hire people like Chakrabarti, AOC's people. Hire people from Justice Democrats, like real progressive people. Those are the people you need. Those are the people who are going to, again, bring you to victory in the end, because Democratic people like the policies. They like the policies. And one thing that I think, the second thing that she has to do, I think, to order be really viable and really gain my support, is to put that DNA test behind her. Explain why she did it. Come off, like, she has to, like, actually say, like, this is why I did it. I was wrong. I was mistaken. It didn't play well. It offended a lot of people. And I don't think this should matter. I don't think my DNA test should matter. It's a stupid, racist talking point for people who want to hide behind the fact that they can only criticize me on Native American issues because my policy issues are too overwhelmingly popular. Like, that's a little taste of it. Obviously needs some workshopping, needs some adding to. But I think that's what she has to do to really, I think, push herself behind this. But she does have some pretty good, credible, progressive bona fides. And this is a clip of her on CNBC, the clip that I was about to tell you about. So here he is. You may have a little bit of a janky over the Young Turks talking about this, but yeah, here she is on CNBC, sticking up for progressive financial regulations.
Senator, I will push back, though, on the relative security that you're portraying Glass-Steagall to have given us, because Continental Illinois in the early 80s was the seventh largest bank in America. It failed, almost set off basically another major banking crisis. Shouldn't we just tell the American consumer that no matter what we do, there will be bank boom and bust cycles, no matter what the laws and regulations? You can't protect everything.
No, that is just wrong.
Why?
Look at the history.
I have looked at history. We're filled with booms and busts from the Dutch tulip crisis to now.
From 1797 to 1933, the American banking system crashed about every 15 years. In 1933, we put good reforms in place for which Glass-Steagall was the centerpiece. And from 1933 to the early 1980s, that's a 50-year period, we didn't have any of that. None. We kept the system steady and secure. And it was only as we started deregulating, you start hitting the S&L crisis, and what did we do? We deregulated some more. And then you hit long-term capital management at the end of the 90s, and what did we do as a country? This country continued to deregulate more. And then we hit the big crash in 2008. You are not going to defend the proposition that regulation can never work.
I didn't say regulation.
All right, so that's the kind of that is the idea that we need to. That's the kind of idea that we really need to see. So ask that, like, that's the kind of progressive idealism that I would love, and I think a lot of people in America would love, because they're not with these big bank people. Wall Street's not popular. The elites of this country are not popular. Accountable capitalism is the most popular thing in this country right now. And, I mean, you do have people from the left who are saying maybe she's not right wing enough. She said she's a capitalist. She's not a democratic socialist. And I think, though, I think you could pull her around to, a lot of things. Like, for example, she obviously supports Medicare for all. I mean, I would be very shocked if she didn't, but I would assume so, because she's worked with Bernie Sanders about it. And I think she, again, supporting Medicare for all, supporting Green New Deal, these are prerequisites, things you need to do. Supporting $15 minimum wage, I'm sure she supports. So, yeah, and again, another good one here is former Wells Fargo chief John Stumpf saying, what have you done to hold yourself accountable? She asked the starting bank boss as he testified in front of the Senate Banking Committee in September 2016. If you resigned as CEO or chairman of Wells Fargo, you returned $1 nickel of the $1 million that you were paid while the scam was going on. I'll take that as a no then. Yeah, so kind of a boss move there. We'll take some of that from Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, it's an absolute mess. So here's the audio of that.
Scam came to light. You have said repeatedly, quote, I am accountable. But what have you actually done to hold yourself accountable? Have you resigned as CEO or chairman of Wells Fargo?
The board, I serve at
Have you resigned?
No, I've not.
Have you returned 1 nickel of the million